Hi everybody, namaste. So I'm gonna do a video and it's late. Um, I'm at a nice house in the country up north in Quebec, and oh, did it ever do me some good to get out of the city. And so this video I'm doing a little bit quietly and late at night, and there are people in the house trying to sleep. And another family here, a little boy that keeps crying and having a hard time. So um, I'm having a hard time sleeping, and I wasn't planning in any way to do a video, and here I am doing a video. But these interesting revelations are happening, and I just wanted to share it because, as far as energy goes, it really is amazingly good for us to get into a car and drive. Is the accelerated motion gives us this boost of energy, and it's a clearing of energy. So when you're going from point A to point B, you literally clear your energy in the meantime. And this happens so subconsciously that we don't even recognize it. But if we are aware of it, we'll end up in point B going, hey, I feel better all of a sudden. Or, well, obviously, you will feel better. But it will clear your energy enough for you to start to have realizations about, or just a switch in perspective about things that you left, or things going on in your life that are just percolating. And a lot of people tell me that I think too much and I overanalyze, and that's just part of my character. But it really is also something that we do when we're recovering from trauma, just to make sure that we're keeping everything in balance. We process things, and that's actually good practice. So don't let anyone ever tell you that overthinking is bad unless you're really overthinking and stuck there, because then the wheels will just turn yourself silly. And in that mode, once you can recognize this is too much, then getting in a car and going from point A to point B can actually be the wisest thing you could do, just to clear that. And you will come to some insights on the other side. And even just getting out into the country in the fresh air is always good, and seeing different things. And today was the day of the market in Lachute. And I had no idea that in northern Quebec there's this interesting mix of Harley and cowboy. And I got Merlin this really amazing cowboy hat, finagled the guy down, and there were some tears. The man was just really nice. Poor Merlin really wanted this blue, beautiful leather cowboy hat that I got him. And I got myself a fedora, which I always wanted. And the kids got to ride some ponies. And there was some honky tonk music. Anyway, it was really wild. It made me really think of this book that I got to come here. If you can see her on her pony. And it's a really interesting book. Now it's written backwards, but about real estate, which, I'm very interested in, but it's mostly for architecture and building, and really my passion for sustainable living and ecological development. But when I was in real estate in Montreal, it was downtown, and it was hustle, and it was high stakes, and it was high stress. And my, chapeau to those that are fine with that, but I couldn't handle it. And so anyway, it's really interesting, this book. But on the back, the quote, I'll just read it. There's no point in climbing onto a high horse if you don't know how to ride it. And this is just so pertinent to me in so many ways. But really, it's about a woman's quest for finding home, and to be able to have a space where she can be a hostess to all of the people that she loves in her life. And I know that in my life, I've worked hard at always creating a cozy home. And whenever the relationship explodes, because usually it does, um, just because really we have to work through our issues before any relationship will be successful, and I never took the time to do that. So I'm living on my own again, and I really took the time to make my place really peaceful, and I redecorated and painted and even changed the toilet seat myself and made it into a safe space where I could feel safe and welcome people and loved ones into my home. But I knew as I was doing this process that really the remodeling and redecorating was happening to me. As I was painting and as I didn't do a perfect job and as I got paint all over the floor, and it was just a learning process, which is what life is. And if we get too caught up in the seriousness of it all, I think we'd probably go insane. There's just way too many lessons to be learned and things to be uncovered and reasons why. And Dr. Bali used to say that really the ultimate meaning of life wasn't to be understood by our mediocre human brains. And that's when we sort of develop intuition and we can develop a link between our human selves and our spiritual self, which in spiritual term we call the higher self, or I won't get into all that. We'll just call it the higher self. And this higher self, we can have access to it once we actually make the connection between our head and our heart. And so often in processing things, we can come to the conclusion of how did I feel about that and what did I learn? So it's a process of not just staying in the head, but delving deep into the heart and seeing how do I feel and being honest about that. Clearly that's the truth, and taking off the mask and being honest about that is the truth. And only in really processing down to the truth are we healing. And so we make the space to really feel safe enough to do that inner work and that introspection. And often I do it in a very hot bath right before bed, which helps me fall asleep. And I really do think that a good night's sleep, and this isn't just because I'm a mom, but a good night's sleep and having a regular sleep schedule does amazing wonders for our mental health. And really it's difficult maybe if it's hard to fall asleep, like right now I can't fall asleep, but trying to at least get to bed at least, reasonable midnight, 1 a.m. and so that we can at least get at least 6 hours. And if you're really running on fumes like 4 or 5 hours, you're shortening your lifespan, because we really do need to enter the sleep state, the deep REM state, to have healing and to have health. And so many times I just hear people just, up all night and not bothering to get this schedule down, and then wondering why their lives are, they just don't have enough energy to sustain all that if you're not getting enough sleep. But if you're not getting enough sleep, if you can carve out a good 5 minutes even to do a Dr. Bali session, it will get us into the theta brain state of healing, which is just as good and helps us also process and get in touch from our head to our hearts and from our hearts back to our heads, so that we get some clarity and learn our lessons so that we don't have to repeat them. And anyway, once we uncover who we are in the process of, like as I did in the remodeling of the home, and recognizing that we really are, our homes are our bodies, and that clearly we need a roof and preferably a roof over our heads and a bed to sleep in, and what some people endure in life, really what some people enjoy. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here, but really, please be kind, because some people really endure a lot and it's hard for them to go through life being understood. And compassion is really necessary, and also compassion can come through the practice of reflection and seeing what our role is in our lives, and trying to negate the damage that we do. And this is in any form of communication. Try to be respectful with people, and so anyway, being our own homes, our body as our homes, our vessels, really it's the ultimate real estate. There's no value, there's not a high enough price on our bodies. And life is difficult, and it's full of cycles and lessons and reflection and energy work. And no one said it was going to be easy. And even as we're traveling and step outside of that home base, then we also recognize we can make ourselves cozy in a new space, but really ultimately our homes are us, our bodies. And life is about evolving and growing, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally and spiritually, and trying to have the Trinity, body, mind, soul, in balance, really will ultimately lead to health of this vessel as we move forward. So reflection and sleep and self-awareness and self-responsibility for our role in our lives, and self-love for loving our bodies and staying in balance is really all I wanted to share, the importance of all of this in health and staying balanced. Anyway, it's been a busy day, and I just haven't even had a chance to do my own yoga practice, and I know I really need it, so this was going to help me get into balance. And then I'm going on a bit of a vacation, and I'll maybe do a couple videos, but as they seem to just kind of come out, and share a bit about it. But looking forward to being on the road and getting my energy moving a bit and getting my head cleared, and obviously staying with the practice of staying in balance as I do that, and taking personal responsibility and continuing to level up constantly. Always being a better version of ourselves is really what spiritual practices are all about, and accepting yourself when you're healing from trauma of any sort is really ridding ourselves of the shame of our actions and just reflecting on them and make amends, say sorry, and just try to stay balanced as best you can. This is one of my favorite songs, Coldplay and the Scientist. Dr. Bali was so into quantum physics because he was so happy that it could explain a lot of his philosophies. And sometimes we can get caught up in the scientist part of things and forget about the sacred, or in the overactive monkey mind, and we forget about the soul, or we think more with our head than our heart, and really we're trying to find the balance in these. And so we kind of feel like we run in circles all the time, like we're 3 steps ahead and then whatever, 5 steps back. And my videos and my goal to teach is to just keep moving forward no matter what. And sometimes it's just part of life. Life is part of cycles, and we get pulled back, and we just have to learn our lessons and keep moving forward, and bringing those that want to join us in love and respect, for each other's mental health, everybody's mental health, and taking care of our bodies, and having self-respect enough to respect our neighbors. So, Dr. Bali to the Scientist, and I can't play it too loud, so I hope that you can hear it. It's a beautiful song. It's always gotten me through some tough times, speaking of cycles. Sorry, I really want to listen to it, so we have to hear it. Same thing on the right. In reverse. Both legs. And reverse. Hold strong. Shaking up that stuck energy. Rolling up into a shoulder stand. Go up against the wall if you have to. Switch perspective. Get the blood flowing backwards. Roll down slow. Always recenter. Hips. Cracking. Keep the light on. Okay, and reverse. gesture. Bridge. A little Savasana. Corpse pose. Lie flat. Enter your heart. It's just amazing how much better I feel after doing that. Every time. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening. And remember, here it says, you don't have to be everything to everybody. And you are your most important concern. It's like putting the mask on in the airplane. You're no good to anyone if you're not being good to yourself. We have to take care of these bodies. It's our home. And only in taking care of our home can we host the loved ones that we would like to have in our homes. And once you're feeling too frazzled, create some space and some peace. Go for a drive. Get out into the fresh air in the country. Experience new things. Shake up your energy. Get a good night's sleep. Try to make that a habit. And do a practice that balances your head and your heart, whatever that may be. But really, it's the balancing of the two that needs to happen. And the science and the sacred are both equally important. The good and the bad, the dark and the light. Contrast is everywhere, and only in balance do we really level up. So, let's do it.